What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So we've been talking about the initiative for a while now. They're working on Perfect Dark, and this is the studio that Microsoft started from the ground up. Well, a major report released yesterday that detailed several issues the studio is currently facing, and we're going to be going over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about E3 somewhat. We're waiting for plans to be revealed for this big summer event, and it looks like now a publisher decided to reveal their plans a little early. And we're also going to be talking about a sale on the 3DS shop, because I figure we should be taking advantage of these while we still can. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below and ring that notification bell so you can keep up to date with all of the uploads here on the channel. And we're going to start today with Xbox Game Pass for the second half of March. We'll head over here to news.xbox.com. There's a little card at the top here, starting March 17th, that's tomorrow, with Shredders, that's cloud, PC, and Xbox Series. This game will only be on Xbox One through game streaming. It's the snowboarding game, and I'm hoping it turns out to be pretty good. We'll see. Like I said, I'll download and check it out. Then we also have the Amulet of Chaos, cloud, console, and PC. Moving to March 22nd, Tainted Grail Conquest, that's on console. And then we also have Zero Escape, the Nonary games, cloud, console, and PC. Moving to the 24th, we have Norco on PC. Then F1 2021, that's heading to console through EA Play. On March 29th, we have Crusader Kings 3, that's Xbox Series. And then on March 31st, Weird West, cloud, console, and PC. This one's interesting. I believe it had already been announced, because it's from Devolver, that it was going to go to Game Pass day one, but it's described as a dark fantasy reimagining of the Wild West. So that's certainly something to check out there for a different experience. I checked it out on Steam with some of the screenshots and stuff, and it looks kind of like a isometric indie RPG style game, so might be something to see there. Shredders, though, is the one that I'm really interested in, and I'll be downloading that immediately tomorrow, hoping that it ends up being a good game, but I'm sure we'll talk about it more on the podcast this weekend. Also, we did get release date and pricing for a highly anticipated expansion, that being Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. They released a full trailer, and they did like a whole digital live event to go over everything, but this expansion will be releasing on June 30th. It'll even have like a full collector's edition with new amiibo, and it's going to be coming out with the standard edition at $39.99. Now, I did see some people online who immediately saw that, got a little bit of sticker shock because it's an expansion, but as they were going through all the stuff here, I mean, this looks pretty substantial. This isn't like a small little piece of DLC. There is a lot going on here. Whole new world to explore, a bunch of new monsters to be going after. So the only thing I have with this is it's been a while since I've played Monster Hunter Rise. It's going to be that situation for me where when I jump back into this in 3.5 months now, I'm going to be a bit rusty, I guess. So that's going to be the only problem I'll have with it there. But otherwise, it's always good to get more Monster Hunter, especially on a game that people really like with Rise. It's sold well, so Capcom obviously is looking to expand on that a bit further, but look towards June 30th, pick that one up. Oh, and Ghostwire Tokyo is out next Friday. There've been a lot of previews popping up, but one part of the previews was kind of funny because it goes over like the performance and quality mode. Well, it turns out there are many more than just two, and we can see this here posted up over on VGC. There's a quality mode, that's like the high fidelity 30 FPS mode. The performance mode, that's the high frame rate 60 FPS mode. Then it goes to like high frame rate quality, where they just remove the cap of 30, and like it's probably all over the place. It's described here as between 30 and 50. And then high frame rate performance, that just removes the 60 cap. So if you have a display, I guess, that can support higher than 60 frames per second, you could turn that off and see what happens there. But they also have high frame rate quality with VSync and high frame rate performance with VSync, which would then allow you to, I guess, try to mitigate some of the screen tearing that would be taking place there. So I was a little surprised to see as many options as this for the way that you can experience the game. It's great because like the more options, the better. But I'll definitely be checking this game out next Friday when it releases. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Microsoft, Xbox, and the initiative. They're working on Perfect Dark. It wasn't a well-kept secret. We were all kind of expecting them to make that announcement at some point. They did at the Game Awards, and that's kind of been it since then. There was a lot of hope that we would actually see the game maybe this summer when E3 takes place and Microsoft will set up their own big event, but it's looking less and less likely based on a new report out of VGC. We can see this posted there. Say Xbox's The Initiative Studio has seen a fast and furious wave of senior departures in the past 12 months. As much as half of the core development team known to be working on the upcoming Perfect Dark reboot quit the company during the last year, or around 34 people. Now, they're going through a lot of profiles on LinkedIn to put this all together, but based on what they found, there's now less than 50 people working at the initiative. Now, some of these departures include game director Dan Newberg, a design director Drew Murray, who I think went back to Sony actually after leaving the initiative here, lead level designer Chris O'Neill, principal world builder Joylyn Myers, 2 senior system designers, a group of 3 former God of War designers, and more. You also have 2 senior writers, the project's technical director, tech art director, lead gameplay engineer, lead animator, QA lead, and then more on top of that. In fact, they have an entire list all the way at the bottom of this article, and they just kind of cross them off, I guess, as they find that they've moved on. Some, by the way, it's been pointed out, have not moved on to another job. They're just now looking for work. So they just kind of left. Whether that's from creative differences, well, that is actually something that came up quite a few times because VGC did at least reach out to some of the former employees. They say interviews with multiple former senior developers cited a lack of creative autonomy and slow development progress as the reason for their departures, and described the wave of exits as fast and furious, with project momentum said to be heavily affected. Now, Daryl Gallagher did respond to VGC, who's the head of the studio here, saying it's no small task to build a studio and reinvent a beloved franchise. In creating the initiative, we set out to leverage co-development partnerships to achieve our ambitions, and we're really excited about all the progress we're seeing with our relationship with Crystal Dynamics. So this actually makes a lot of sense now, why Crystal Dynamics came in, considering so many people are on their way out. And according to VGC, it actually coincides pretty well with that announcement versus like half the team leaving. I mean, I guess you bring in Crystal Dynamics, who Square wasn't that fond of anyway after what happens with Marvel's The Avengers. This is at least a good place for them to partner up with the initiative and bring most of the development force. I mean, think about it. If they have like less than 50 people working at the initiative, then you have a much larger studio like Crystal Dynamics come in. Well, they're the ones who are mostly going to be getting the game done, so they'll be taking a larger role and lead, I would say, overall in Perfect Dark, which isn't a bad thing because Crystal Dynamics is talented as long as they have the right project and not trying to build out this live service Marvel's Avengers game. If they go back to things like Tomb Raider, where they did phenomenal work, I think they could really make a good Perfect Dark game. However, there have also been talks about Perfect Dark seeing a soft reboot now, and now it's like, well, who knows when this game's going to be coming out, but it still comes back to Microsoft seeming to have a lot of management issues. 343, that's all I have to say, right? Just that. And now we look at other projects like Everwild, where Rare announced it before they even had a concept for the game, and it's like, maybe Perfect Dark, I know they wanted to create hype around the initiative. And obviously they were trying to continue hiring people, so maybe announcing Perfect Dark would get people on board, but they probably should not have announced that game until they were at least more confident that they would retain half their staff and be able to get this game out in a timely manner. If we were just sitting here hearing about all these departures for the initiative, we'd be like, that's weird, but we wouldn't be like, what's going to happen to Perfect Dark? That's kind of where we are now. So here's hoping Crystal Dynamics comes in and is like the Crystal Dynamics from something like Rise of the Tomb Raider and not like Marvel's The Avengers, and we get a good Perfect Dark game. It's just, who knows when that's going to be. Next up, let's talk about a trademark that's caused quite a bit of speculation that I had to include in this show because it continues the feud between MVG and Nate. And that has to do with Konami and Silent Hill. Take a look at this here. It's a trademark that was spotted the other day where you can see Konami Digital Entertainment and Silent Hill right there between Fantasy Water, Margin Den, and Tokameki Memorial. So there you have it. Silent Hill got a new trademark, or they re-upped their trademark. Either way, Konami is at least keeping that around, which, I mean, you'd expect. They've worked on, I'm sure, pachinko machines and all kinds of stuff like that with it. But there have been a lot of rumors and talks and reports around Konami maybe pushing more into the games business once again with larger scale projects. And that's the reason Silent Hill keeps coming up along with Metal Gear. I don't really know if I want Konami to make it though. Like, either of them, or even Castlevania. I think they work best right now as just the license holder. Like, it's their intellectual property. Find a developer who can make a good Metal Gear. We've seen them do Metal Gear Survive. We don't need that from them again, but also make a good Silent Hill. I think they at least had something, obviously with Silent Hills with Kojima, and maybe that's what a lot of people are hoping comes back. I don't really think it will. So that's the other thing, is like, okay, you want Silent Hill made, but who do you want to make it? And would there be enough of an impact if it did get announced? Because I mean, Silent Hill didn't exactly sell the best, so I don't know if Konami is jumping up and down to get that one done when they could do something like Castlevania or Metal Gear, but who knows? Maybe they're working on all three right now. Next up, let's talk about EA Play Live. Now, this is an event that EA holds basically to kick off E3. I guess technically it's not considered part of E3, but they'll have like a live show and they'll show off a bunch of their games. They did a digital one last time, and I mean, they showed Skate 4, so that was an automatic win in my book, right? But it looks like this year they will not be doing an EA Play Live. We can see this posted up over on IGN from an EA representative saying, "We love EA Play Live as it's our way of connecting with our players and sharing what's new with all of you. However, this year things aren't lining up to show you everything on one date. We have exciting things happening at our world-class studios, and this year we will reveal much more about these projects when the time is right for each of them. We look forward to spending time with you throughout the year." So this sort of comes back to something I've been saying for a little while now, and that is, do they need to have something ready for E3, which is still not even been announced? It sounds like they're still even trying to plan this thing out right now for an all-digital event, and if I'm EA, I'm looking at this saying, I don't even know if I'm going to have like a bunch of stuff to show on one date, when maybe Jeff Keighley will run his Summer Games Fest, and I can just throw something in there that is ready, but wouldn't be enough to hold up an entire show. And I do wonder if we're going to see more cancellations from other publishers who are kind of in the same boat. Like, we saw what happened with Capcom last year. It wasn't a good show, but maybe this year they have one good thing they want to make everyone aware of, and they're like, oh, okay, we'll just throw it into one of these days for Summer Games Fest, and that's kind of it, right? Kind of those single announcements rather than have to build out an entire show. Well, and unfortunately now I think E3 is going to be this thing that's just like thrown together seemingly at the last minute, and we'll probably have many publishers who don't take part in it, and EA just canceling now, to me, just reinforces that a bit. But EA still seems like they're going to be announcing some stuff as we head throughout the year. Things like Dragon Age is one that people keep pointing out, and obviously there's going to be all these different sports titles, the Maddens, probably FIFA, although they're going through something with that. But you'll see more of those yearly sports titles, I'm sure, just revealed randomly throughout the year on Twitter or on their YouTube channel. So otherwise, we'll see what else we have for E3, but I wouldn't be shocked to hear more cancellations heading into the summer. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about a 3DS sale that is currently live until the 27th of March. I told you I would keep you up to date in case we saw any of these like fire sales happen from different publishers, and it looks like Capcom is holding one with some of their games up to 90% off. We'll just kind of scroll through the deals page that's on Nintendo's site now, and I'll link to it down below, but we can start with Apollo Justice Ace Attorney down to $4.99, Mega Man Legacy Collection down to $4.99, couple of Monster Hunter games here, that being 3, 4, and then Generations, all of which at $4.99. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Dual Destinies at $5. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice at $5. Then we have the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy at $12. Then we have some Resident Evil here with the Mercenaries 3D at $2. Resident Evil Revelations at $2. That's an absolute steal, by the way, on the 3DS. Revelations being that cheap, 90% off is amazing stuff. And then Super Street Fighter 4 3D Edition at $5. So certainly some pretty good sales here from Capcom. I mean, Resident Evil Revelations is probably the one I would pick up for $2 now. And we're going to see more of these fire sales pop up from different publishers on the 3DS, because to them, it's probably like, why not? Let's create some buzz here with some sales. Let's just get whatever money we can before the store starts to shut down in waves. We'll have the ability to use credit cards pulled away, and then we'll get to the point where you can't use like the gift cards, and then eventually it'll be shut down in March of 2023. But certainly check out some of these sales here. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, when do you think Perfect Dark will release? Hey, 12% holding out hope for 2023, 27% saying 2024, 16% on 2025, then 45% of people think that we won't see it until 6 years after its initial announcement, that being in 2026. I think if they bring everything together with Crystal Dynamics and Daryl Gallagher there at the top, who's very familiar with that studio, I could see them pulling out a holiday 2024 release, but I wouldn't be shocked if it did indeed find its way into 2025. I didn't include the idea of them canceling the game, mostly because I don't think that's going to be the case. They've already revealed it. It is one of their bigger, rare intellectual properties that they got in that deal way back when with Nintendo. So I'm I'm hopeful that this doesn't turn into a whole thing where they can't get the game done, because Crystal Dynamics is already on thin ice with Square as it is, and I think they are at least talented enough to pull off something like a new Perfect Dark game. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Dead Aim Gun Con, saying, I wish light gun games made a comeback. I've been saying that VR would be an awesome way to do it, that or emulating on PC with a Sinden light gun for the arcade experience. Yeah, that would actually be pretty cool to see light gun games come back in full force. I mean, it was really fun to have that ability with Time Crisis games back in the day. I know they did it for like the PS2 and they did it on the PS3. You got like this thing that would plug in through like the yellow input or the composite input, and you would then put it on your TV, and it kind of worked, it kind of didn't. I would like to believe that technology has gotten a lot better now to where we could have something similar to the arcade in our house without having to spend thousands of dollars on the actual machine itself. But I mean, those were some awesome experiences to have in the arcade. So to be able to get that on the Switch, we'll see. I'm curious about how this is going to work with House of the Dead with those gyro controls. I mean, maybe they're holding up a surprise for us for release day and they have some really cool idea for House of the Dead to work better with gyro, or maybe even some sort of pointer control setup. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. There's a situation around the initiative with nearly half of their workforce leaving. How do you think this is going to affect Perfect Dark? Then also, what about the 3DS sale going on right now? Let me know if you would pick any of those up, or you're anticipating this closure and trying to collect as many as possible. And then EA Play has been canceled. How do you think this is going to affect E3, and do you think other publishers are going to be doing the same thing? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.